gonna explode. My brain's gonna explode. There's something sinister afoot, absolutely.
Gentlemen, welcome on into the Slightly Biased Show here at the incredible Haymaker Studios. Haymaker Network. Make sure you guys subscribe. Link down in the description. If you haven't liked the stream yet, make sure you do so. If you're watching after the fact, make sure you leave a like. It goes such a long ways, folks. Such a long ways. You know, it's not a long ways away. The NFL draft. We are just 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. Who's hyped? I am. I know the guys over at One Star Podcast are. A new One Star Podcast presented by Haymaker is out now on YouTube and all podcast platforms. KT, The Athletics, John, Machota, and Sad Yusuf ask, who could the Cowboys actually draft? The One Star Cowboys Podcast right here on Haymaker Network. Go give it a watch, a listen, and a 1-star while you're there. And then be on the lookout for some very special announcements involving the NFL draft and what we will be doing here on this beautiful network coming in the very near future. Updates, including yours truly. I'm so excited about the NFL draft. Just been thinking about who the Cowboys could draft. Some of you guys are asking, let me think about it. Let me think about who the Cowboys could draft. I'm just going to think about it. But we're going to do our NBA award ballots today. The Slightly Biased award ballots. Some of you guys are asking, is Finn going to join the stream? Finn is on the street. I mean, who do you know that has an airbrush sweatshirt, hand airbrushed by a real human being, took months to make, of their cat? Nobody. Nobody's doing it quite like me. And you guys are wondering like who the Cowboys might draft, take in the draft. What my opinions are. Picks rounds 1 through 7. I do have opinions, and I'll break it down to you guys later whenever my brain sort of starts to process some of my thoughts. Okay. That's when we'll do it. Elite, thank you for the 199. No one was wondering that. No, several people were wondering that, actually. Several people were wondering that. But thank you, though, for your nice thoughts. Before we get into the awards, the Texas Rangers, or shall I say the Tejas Rangers, have released their City Edition jerseys.
City Connect, sir.
City Connect jerseys.
Get that NBA stuff out of here.
I mean, did we spend longer than 1 second on these? These look like Angels jerseys. I have a problem with these. I've grown, maybe it's a little old man of me, but I just don't like these. I'm out. All of these City Edition jerseys suck. They're all terrible. I saw the Baltimore ones earlier, and they're horrible. Almost half of the MLB just does a black jersey, which honestly is cool for about 2 games. It was explained to me what the Peagle was. I didn't realize part of the Peagle thing was somebody said that Fort Worth is such a boring city it was such a boring and quiet city that a panther could sleep peacefully in the middle of downtown Fort Worth. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that was a Dallasite that said that. Businessman trying to get business to stay in Dallas, so they did the moniker. I didn't think that had anything to do with the Peagle, though.
That's what I thought it was. I thought a Peagle was just a panther and an eagle combination. I don't know. These look fine. These look like they'd be Christmas Day jerseys or something if baseball happened then.
How did you feel about the Peagle then?
I liked the Peagle at first, but after a while, the black baseball jerseys, and I know they had the cream top, but black baseball jerseys are just, after a while, they're not. I think it's partially PTSD because a travel ball team I played on growing up had fully black jerseys, and we would wear it 120-degree heat, and it would just be excruciating. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I just think they're boring. They look like they're like Florida State Seminole jerseys.
What about that block T hat?
That's pretty sick. The hat's pretty fine. Is that a wedding ring on Wyatt Langford's finger? I didn't know he was a wife guy. How old is he?
He's a baseball guy. They're all wife guys.
That's true. Every baseball player is a white guy, or wife guy, and a white guy.
Yeah, I don't think you missed it. No.
They're all wife and white guys. Yeah, I mean, all right. That honestly knocks him down. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Wyatt Langford being a wife guy at this stage in his life, what knocks him down a couple pegs for me, personally.
Anyone named Wyatt should be single for their whole life.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be the next great baseball legend, which I think Wyatt Langford can be, I don't want you to be a wife guy, truth be told. And I'm sorry about that. It does seem a little bit cruel, but that's just the reality. How about this right here, guys? How about this right here? Dirk Nowitzki. It is the 7-year anniversary of Dirk's final home game as a member of the Dallas Mavericks. 4-1-2-1-1. How did those dates end up working out again?
41-21-1.
April 12th?
April 9th.
Oh.
So this is the 7th year of Dirk's last day game in Dallas, which was the 41-21-1 ceremony, if we all remember that correctly.
41 jersey. 22 years, 1 Dirk.
You got it. There you go. It all makes sense.
I thought it was a play on the date. My bad.
Look at our guys.
What an incredible, this was an incredible moment. It's kind of hilarious that in hindsight, there were people who didn't know. I remember me and one of my friends, we went to so many games this year. Luka's rookie year. Anyone with a brain knew it was Dirk's last year, but it hadn't really caught on yet. So tickets were still kind of cheap. And me and my friend went to, probably like 20 games. And he tried to convince me to buy, pony up early in the year. I just graduated, so I was dirt broke. But pony up and buy, nice tickets for the last home game. He was like, this will be Dirk's last home game. And I didn't, and I regretted it forever. And, still, it's a moment that lives in our hearts. It's a moment that lives in our hearts. So anyways, if you guys are wondering about, here are some of my mock draft for the Cowboys, just off the top of my head when I'm thinking. At 12, if Caleb Downs is there, I know he's a safety, but this feels like the cleanest best player meets biggest problem pick for the Cowboys, I would say. Then at 20, Anthony Hill Jr. This is the Cowboys pick that feels the most Dallas to me personally, right? Hill gives them some range and violence at a spot they desperately need to fix. I've been saying that for a long time. Round 3, pick 92. I'm kind of feeling Malik Muhammad, cornerback out of Texas. The Cowboys still need long-term answers at corner, and Muhammad's ability to play outside or kick inside. That's what I've been saying is you kick him inside. It's exactly the kind of flexibility the Cowboys need. And then at 112, Austin Barber. I've been saying they need Austin Barber out of Florida, offensive tackle, of course. They cannot leave the draft without at least one of these trench players. Le'Veon Moss, running back out of A&M at pick 152. That's a name I've been circling off the top of my head. Bud Clark, safety at 177. All of these guys I'm just kind of off the top of my head sort of who I've been thinking about. So thank you guys for asking about my opinions on the mock draft. So Seager's a wife guy, yeah, but Seager's 30. Seager's 30, okay? That's a big difference.
All right, turn around and do that again.
Okay, no, it's only in the moment, and you can just rewind a couple seconds. That'll be good. Okay, I'll turn around actually and do it. All right, let's just dive into it because I've got 30 different slides. You know who it is. Slightly PowerPoint. Back at it once again with my awards. No, I should have put a DVT MVP category. Damn it. Well, it would be Wemby, right? Us DVT brothers have a lot of representation this year. We do. And on these awards, there's quite a bit of DVT representation, which is fantastic. This is presented by and let's get into it. Look at that, guys, huh? I went with a communist vibe with the slides this year, just because I'm feeling a little communist. I don't know if it's recent events or not, but it's probably it.
I'm just getting messages that we just got geo-blocked.
That's okay. That's fine. I don't want our program broadcast in any of these capitalist countries. Let's get into it. Let's start. I will say that the awards this year are difficult. The one I had the most problems with, I actually thought it would be all NBA that I had the most problems with, but it ended up being the all rookie second team that I spent the longest amount of time sort of thinking about, only because it's really difficult this year. Do you go with aura hype? Do you go with, this guy has scored a lot of points and has like a 40-point game here or there, like that's cool? Or do I go with, this guy maybe played like 900 minutes, but was like a valuable role player on a team, so that guy gets a second team nom? That's kind of where it became difficult for me. And we have a couple of silly, goofy categories in here as well. So let's just dive right into it with our first award of the day. We're just going to start with the most basic one that nobody really cares about. Clutch Player of the Year. Finishing third, I do have Jamal Murray, who has a good amount of representation on this on today. I mean, he's been such a good player this year. Kind of a sneaky, great clutch guy. And just, the Nuggets have not been a good clutch team all year, but it was either him or Anthony Edwards, and really, who cares, honestly. I did go with Luka second in this category, just because the Lakers have been so great in the clutch. His clutch numbers don't jump out and grab you. He hasn't scored a ton of points in the clutch, but he has had a couple big shots, right? A couple of game winners. And his assist numbers are fantastic. His efficiency has been good despite the fact that he doesn't shoot as much. Number one is clearly Shea. I mean, he runs away with this award. This one is actually probably the easiest award there is to give out. I don't know if there's even a conversation around this. He's just dominated the rest of the field. And I feel the same way about our next award, DPOY. How are you guys booing that? What's even the holdup there? DPOY, again, the winner is just going to be a complete and total runaway. Now, who finishes second and third? Who gets votes here is an interesting conversation to have. I do feel Rudy, and I don't know if it's just voter fatigue or we're just kind of done with him. Rudy Gobert, to me, has been clear-cut the second-best defensive player in the entire NBA this year. And if Wemby were not to hit the 65-game mark, then it becomes a real interesting conversation. Chet would win it, but I really do think Rudy would be deserving of yet another Defensive Player of the Year award. I do have Chet finishing third, Rudy finishing second, and number one, of course, is the one and only Victor Wembanyama. Again, this one, not a lot of mystery surrounding this one, right? It's Wemby. Walking top 3 defense. I mean, it's just insane how good he is. How many never minds is he up to this year? He literally invented a stat, the Wemby never minds. I mean, when you get a stat named after you, then you know you're up to something. You're doing good. Wemby Defensive Player of the Year, not even really up for debate. These first two, not even up for debate, in my opinion. Sixth Man of the Year, which is our next one. This is where it does get interesting, because truthfully, none of these guys jumped out and grabbed my attention this year. I have to be honest with you. I didn't think this was a particularly strong Sixth Man of the Year class. And it's funny because I did a video with Offside giving them my award ballot. I changed my Sixth Man of the Year winner because I thought about it more, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry, I can't go with Jaime Jaquez, who I originally had. And I was like, ugh, I just don't really want to. Naz Reid has been good. He finishes third for me. I have Dylan Harper second, which seems a little bit shocking. But the more I sat down and looked at all of these guys, I just thought Dylan Harper was having a top 3 season off the bench out of anybody in the league. He's been playing really well for 3 months now. Played well early on, just didn't play a bunch, and has been an uber impactful player. But ultimately, the winner I went with, and you guys aren't going to like this one. I don't really care. He, to me, was the best player off the bench in the NBA this year. A.J. Mitchell. So A.J. Mitchell gets my pick for the Sixth Man of the Year. 65-game requirement is not mandatory for this. So, don't look at that. He's not going to play 65 games. No, Harper is far and away the best sixth man on his team. I'm sorry. Dylan Harper is having a much better season than Keldon Johnson. At a certain point, we just have to be truthful and honest with ourselves, okay? I know Keldon Johnson has hyped himself up for this award. I get all of that. I'm sorry. Dylan Harper's just been a better basketball player. I just think A.J. Mitchell, out of all of these guys, has been the best player out of anybody who's come off the bench. And I also think the most important and impactful to their team, because the lack of offense the Thunder have had at times, where they were with, all of their injuries at certain points throughout the year. No J-Dub, A.J. Mitchell having to step up, and he did play a good amount of time as a starter. But having to step up and like carry the load offensively when Shea was off the floor, he did really well. So I'm a big AJ Mitchell fan. I do believe if you just put him on a team and his usage rate spiked up a little bit, he would be, it'd be interesting, the conversations that AJ Mitchell would find himself in, on top of being a really solid defensive player. Yeah, John Polikitis was just on the outside looking in. So I do want to give a shout out to my guy, John Polifridis. But unfortunately, he just didn't crack it. Maybe all-NBA rookie second team or all-NBA second team. I don't know. No, but the more I sat and looked at Dylan Harper, I was just like, do I actually think that, I don't know, who are some names out there that are being floated around for six man? Like, do I really think that Keldon Johnson is better than Dylan Harper this year? The reality is, no, I don't. So what are we even really talking about or doing, right? So, yeah, I mean, six man of the year, again, kind of a difficult one because none of these guys really jumped out at me. The next one, most improved player, again, a difficult one just because Mamu was definitely in consideration for me. Most improved, a difficult one because what this award means to you will vary depending on your interpretation of the award. Is it somebody who took a leap from really good star, maybe even borderline all-star level player, to becoming an all-star finally? Think about like a Jalen Duren, right? Is it somebody like that? Is it somebody like Denny Avdia or Jalen Johnson who have taken steps into entering an all-star, all-NBA tier where they definitely weren't in that a few years ago? Or is it somebody, and in my opinion, this is it, somebody like a Ryan Rollins who has gone from a fringe to outside the rotation player to solidifying themselves as, at the very worst, an elite, role player. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is somebody who's had, obviously, an incredible jump this year. I ultimately went, my winner's name is Keita, who Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to win the award, yes. But to me, Keita exemplifies everything this award is. So that would be my selection. Because you're talking about somebody who, fringe rotation player, not drafted highly, not somebody who you've looked at as a centerpiece of a team whatsoever, and now Keita all of a sudden becomes one of the most impactful bigs in the entire NBA, and solidifying himself as, if you're just looking purely at impact on the game, probably a top 50 most impactful player in the entire NBA this season. That to me is incredible progress. The ability as a screener, the pick and roll, he's a fringe all defense guy. He's a fringe all defense guy. Keita is. Yeah, he's going to get all defensive team votes. I doubt he'll make a team, but he will get votes. To me, that's just insane. His on-off numbers are incredible. Keita is a beast. Coach of the year, kind of a philosophy thing too. It sort of varies. Some people go with, usually how the award goes is you have a year that people don't really expect, and then we'll reward you the next year if you continue that pace, which is why JB Bickerstaff is almost certainly going to win the award this year. For me, I had three guys that really jump out that took teams that performed way better than I think people expected, and they follow the build of the team, right? They just have a system that everyone buys into. Jordan Ott, what the Phoenix Suns have done this year is remarkable. And because of that, I put him here. Mitch Johnson's also somebody. I mean, Dagnall's somebody that you could put here. JJ Redick, low-key, will probably get some third place Coach of the Year votes, and he might even deserve that a little bit. I know people make fun of JJ and call him JJ Reddit, but that Lakers team, if they didn't get decimated by injuries here at the very tail end of the season, probably would have been the 3 seed. So they deserve some props and some love, and they were so good in the clutch. But ultimately, my winner just had to be Joe Mazzulla. The Celtics are a wagon. Everybody who plays is good. Everybody who plays contributes at a high level. Everybody who plays buys into what they do offensively and defensively. It, to me, is the best coaching job of the year. JB Bickerstaff's been incredible. They're the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, the Pistons are. They've dealt with a ton of injuries, too. So what they've done is incredible. And they're similar as well. Everybody buys in defensively. They're just an incredibly tough defensive team. The Celtics are just a wagon, man. And I think Joe Mazzulla's become one of these guys who, outside of Vucevic, which is such a puzzling trade. I didn't understand at the time either. But, Joe Mazzulla is going to become one of these guys, I think, where every year it's just like, you could vote Joe Mazzulla because he's probably, if not the best coach in the NBA, one of them. You could vote him if you wanted to, but one of those dudes. And a lot of good coaching jobs this year. Like the Mavs, obviously, are a team that you look at, right? The Mavs could easily, they got a 5-second call out of a timeout last night in a 5-point game, in a game they absolutely had to lose. That's great coaching work right there. You think about the Sacramento Kings, right? They desperately need to lose games. They're intentionally fouling up 1 point with 3 minutes left, 90% career free throw shooter in the bonus, right? So a lot of great coaching jobs this year. Doc Rivers, the ability to almost single-handedly sabotage an entire franchise. A lot of great stuff and great achievements. So good for these guys. Let's get into some of the silly awards before we go all out. Before we go all out on the MVP, Rookie of the Year, All NBAs, all of those teams. Let's get this new award. A couple of awards I'm creating. This next one, I'm calling it the Nico. This, every year, we will give to the most baffling and puzzling front office decision of the entire year. Last year, obviously, the namesake of the award, the Nico Harrison Award, given because of the Quentin Grimes, Caleb Martin trade, obviously. And I have to give it to Joe Dumars and the Pelicans. I considered doing the Bucks here for the wave and stretch of Damian Lillard to bring in Miles Turner. The thing about that trade, though, or that move that I will defend just a small bit, I will defend just a tiny bit, is you needed to do pretty much everything in your power to keep Giannis happy, and that was sort of a last-ditch effort. Because once Giannis is out, it's over. It's over no matter what. Dumars, the trade to acquire the pick to get Derek Queen. I don't want to spoil some all-rookie team stuff, but I don't know how thrilled you are at your two rookies this year, considering the fact that in an absolutely loaded draft class coming up, you do not have your first-round pick because you inexplicably traded it to get Derek Queen, who I'm just not totally convinced about after seeing his rookie year. I'm really not that convinced about Fears either. I don't know how both of those guys work together long term with their just dreadful defensive prowess. This, to me, is the worst move and the most franchise-altering one, I would say, because, again, a very loaded draft class. Who knows? Right? And if they had this pick, they've won some games here at the end of the season, but for a while there, they were the worst team in the league. They've won some games here in the last few months that have moved them to, I think, 7th in lottery odds, but they could have just shut it down, played your two rookies who are not impacting winning whatsoever, and then, gotten a top 3, top 4 pick in this draft to pair with whoever you ended up deciding to take at 7 last year. Or if you just put protections on the pick, whatever the case might have been, I don't know. I still also question the Pelicans' just unwillingness to trade anybody on their team, right? Like, at a certain point, do you sell high on Herb Jones and Trey Murphy? Do you get picks for these guys? Or are you just going to be mid forever? Mid to bad? I don't know. Joe Dumars is wins the Nico Harrison, the first annual Nico Harrison Award. So shout out to him. And Nico was in consideration for this as well. Because Nico technically was a general manager this season, for sure. He was in consideration. Our next award, this is called the BSGA Award. It's an acronym. Bad Stats, Good Aura Award. This is a guy that the numbers aren't great. They're not promising. The advanced stuff might be a little bit concerning. But yet, for whatever reason, I just cannot seem to quit them. That is Alex Sarr. Bad Stats, Good Aura. It's very similar to a fellow Frenchman on the Wizards roster, Bilal Coulibaly, where we just kind of penciled in some progression and thought that we would see that. And with Sarr, we really haven't. I do think it's kind of telling. The Wizards are doing their season, They're selling season tickets for next year, and then all of their promotion material, it's all Anthony Davis and Trae Young. They're not really promoting any young guys on the roster. Not really a good sign. Now, it is kind of fun and exciting. Like Trae Young, Anthony Davis are obviously stars. They're well-known names. But still, you would like that to be one of your young guys, you would think. Sarr, it's just, I'm still going to hold out some hope that Alex Sarr can thrive a little bit more next to a guy like Anthony Davis. That's what I'm holding out hope for, but I'm not feeling too hopeful, right? I'm not feeling too hopeful about that. The next award, very similar vibes. Good stats, bad aura. And this one pains me, the winner of this, because he's a winner of another award we have coming up. A guy who has good stats, good counting stats, but there's something about it that's starting to scare me, and it's starting to scare me with this guy as we get closer to the postseason. And they've had a couple of games recently where it's been a little bit rough for him, and I'm worried about what it's going to look like in the playoffs. The winner of the good stats, bad aura guy is Jalen Johnson, which, again, if you've watched me, you know that's a little bit surprising because I'm a Jalen Johnson truther. I was early on the Jalen Johnson train, okay? And he's somebody who might win an All-NBA or might get an All-NBA nomination this year. What's that looking like for him? Is he going to be an All-NBA guy? Ultimately, I'm a little bit worried about him. The half-court stuff is concerning. The offensive process isn't the best. And the defense, which I think used to be not half bad for him, it was kind of the exciting prospect of Jalen Johnson takes a few steps offensively with his defense and that crazy athleticism. That leads to so much. Like, there's so many possibilities, so many different avenues we can go. And yet, here we are. Defensively, he's been fucking horrible. And I love him. I do love him. But it scares me a little bit. Denny was a candidate. Denny was a close, and Denny was the betting favorite for this award. Denny and Şengün were the betting favorites for this award. Jalen Johnson was a surprise one, and people are upset at the committee because Jalen Johnson is a favorite, right? Has a great Rotten Tomato score. But you peep under the hood a little bit. We found out that they used AI during the production, and that was just that. That was it. I'm worried about him in the playoffs. No two ways around it. I'm hopeful that he does well. The next award, this is the LOL award, Legacy on the Line. One of these guys in the playoffs, we need to see something. And this guy right here, weird year for him because he's been very good. I don't think you could argue he's been in the same conversation as maybe some of the top 5 or so players in the league. And because of that, I think it's actually been a little disappointing of a season. I'm sort of hoping to see a little bit more. And the playoffs right around the corner. He's dealing with a knee injury. This, to me, is Anthony Edwards. Only because, like I said, here's a guy who we've put in these conversations. We've been expecting like an MVP caliber leap now for quite some time. And he's still young, right? He's still a young player. The best is yet to come for Anthony Edwards. But at a certain point, we need to start seeing that truly this guy is in the same conversations as, the guys that we've put him in those conversations with. I think going into the season, PB no J. What is PB? What is PB no J? PB5, Paolo Banchero. What is his legacy right now? I mean, is this just like an online thing where everyone kind of is like, oh shit, Paolo might be bad, actually. Is that just an online thing? I feel like everybody is just kind of like aware of that now. How about SGA? How is SGA's legacy on the line? Soon to be back-to-back MVPs, a finals MVP. His legacy's not on the line. We need to see something from Ant, and it sucks because he's got these knee problems, but I don't know, man. I think this year we are all kind of anticipating Anthony Edwards take that step. And listen, he's not going to qualify for end-of-season awards. If he did, though, I don't think he was making first team. And considering all of the wide open nature of like the 5th spot in All-NBA, that's disappointing. Would you not agree that that's disappointing? Would you not agree that going into the season, if you had said, hey, you got Jokic, Shea, Luka, and Wemby. Those are the 4 guys, right? Those are the 4 guys. Giannis doesn't qualify. Tatum doesn't play this year. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't play this year. It's pretty much wide open. He didn't take it. He didn't take it. He doesn't impact the game at the level of those guys. He just doesn't. And I was hopeful that we would see that a little bit more this year. Truthfully, I don't think he's not capable of it. That's why this award is legacy on the line. It's time to show it. It's time to show out. This next award, SBFD. What does this one mean? SBFD. Oh, yeah. This award, the Slightly Biased Fully Delusional Award, this goes to the most delusional takes of the entire offseason. And this was a groupthink thing. This one was just very rampant and popular, and I saw it quite a bit in the offseason, and now it is one of the most laughable takes that we can look back on in quite some time. That was DeAndre Ayton. Really, any delusional takes towards DeAndre Ayton, who is now playing himself, frankly, probably out of the league with how, I don't know, non-committed he looks probably 60 to 70% of the time, and frankly, just how not good he is. DeAndre Ayton, takes that I remember seeing quite frequently was that this is actually the best center that Luke has ever played with. I would take Derek Lively on a Walker, and that's just the truth, right? I'll take Derek Lively right now, several months removed from a foot surgery, over DeAndre Ayton. Talk about non-impactful. Talk about floating around on the floor, not doing anything. That right there is DeAndre Ayton, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, I don't mean to pick on him or anything, but the takes that I saw this summer were insane. I would take Musa Cisse. I'm being dead ass serious. I would take Musa Cisse easily. I would take Christian Coloco easily. I would take Luka Garza easily. I would take probably 4 or 5 centers from this upcoming draft class today to jump in and play in the playoffs over DeAndre Ayton. I'm being dead serious. Oh, for sure we're taking Oso. That's not even up for debate, obviously. No chance on Coloco. No, I'm taking Christian Coloco. For sure. Ayton reeks. God bless him, of course. We don't mean to be mean or anything like that. We don't mean to be mean. But at a certain point, man, the takes that we were seeing deserve to be flamed. They just do. Speaking of deserving to be flamed, this next award, BDASBP. I don't know what the I literally just did this morning, and I don't know what the acronyms mean. This is something BDA. Slightly biased prediction. I don't know what the BDA stands for, but I remember SBP is slightly biased prediction. BDA. It's not good because my pick here is the Mavs, who I said would finish 4th going into the season. This is far and away my worst prediction of the offseason. There's several. It was a strong class, this one. I thought the Celtics would be outside the playoffs. I thought that the Pacers would be in the playoffs. Bad. Maybe it was supposed to be bad. I'm trying to rack my brain on what that was. BDSA. BDAS. Is that bad, disastrously awful, maybe? Maybe that's it. Anyways, yeah, I thought the Mavs would be the 4th seed, and it's kind of funny. This is how you know. I can't help myself. I will always go to bat for my team, really no matter what, because they philosophically do not check a single box for me. I really had to talk myself into this one. It went against almost everything I believe about the NBA, and I really talked myself into, with the size thing? Like, maybe if they grab a bunch of rebounds, like, I really talked myself into that, and I'm embarrassed by it. It's the take that brain dead ass, maybe. It's the take that I'm most ashamed of entering the season. Because how do I expect you guys to take me seriously when I said this Mavs team would finish 4th? Right? Like, how can I expect you guys to take me seriously if that's the case? Hand up, I apologize. That was a misread. I should have factored in Derek Lively was going to play one game. I should have factored in Anthony Davis would never play and break his wrist touching someone. I should have known that. That's on me 100%. I should have realized this team was never going to shoot threes. I talked myself into D'Angelo Russell for some godforsaken reason. Hand up, man. That's on me. My bad. I fucked up. I messed up. Okay? It won't happen again. It won't happen again, I promise. I'll pick them to finish 14th next year if I have to. No, I won't. I guarantee you the Mavs. Where do you guys think over under, and I'll forget about this by the time I do it. Over under, where will the Mavs finish in my Western Conference predictions next year? Where are we going to put, where's the over under at? I would say 6.5. No, I think play-in is it has to be lower than that. I think there's an outside chance, and again, I'm going to forget I even said this. I think there's an outside chance that I picked the Mavericks to be a top 6 seed next year. I don't think it's impossible. I don't think it's impossible. All right, the next award, the slightly early award. This is a take that I'm proud of in hindsight. It's funny because I just shit on this guy. But I'm going to give myself a chance to pat myself on the back here because I have been a defender of his in the past. I think a couple of years ago I pointed out to this guy having a breakout, and it's why I didn't really consider him in my most improved because I thought he already has kind of had a breakout. He did last year before he got injured. This year you're starting to see a bit of a usage increase, but last year was really when the breakout started. If he didn't get hurt last year, he would have been my pick for most improved player. My slightly early award winner is Jalen Johnson, who, again, will almost certainly make an All-NBA team this year. I do feel like I should pat myself on the back a little bit for being correct about Jalen Johnson, even though, again, I just shit on him. So a little bit of, mixed messaging here, but he does deserve some love. He's had a great year. He really has. And I figured he'd have a great year. But, I'm worried about him is all. I'm worried about him. That's just the reality of the situation. The next award and the last of the silly awards. I did this kind of last minute, but we'll add some more. There's some really good suggestions. This award is called the Giannis. This award is reserved for guys who were maybe, I'm trying to sort of think about what the criteria for winning it will be. But the player who was the most annoying on the season, maybe the player who did the biggest 180, going from a hero to a villain, going from someone universally loved to someone where everyone's like, ugh, God, this guy again. The winner of the Giannis Award this year is Giannis. Giannis gets the first annual Giannis Award. The most annoying player in the league this year. The constant crying to the media. The constant talking out of both ends of his mouth. Like, yeah, no, man. I don't want to trade. I'd never want to trade. But they wanted to trade me. Like, cool. I'd want to go to the Knicks. But I don't want to get traded. But if they were to trade me, please trade me to the Knicks. Guys, I don't know. The team's clearly not very good, and I only want to be on good teams. So if I get traded to a good team, that's up to them. It's not up to my agent. Doesn't speak for me. If my agent requests a trade, I didn't request a trade. That was my agent. How do you guys not understand this? I don't say it. So I'm not requesting a trade. But if I were to get traded, it wouldn't be that bad. And frankly, I want to be on a good team, and this team's not very good. Trade deadline passes. I told you guys I'm not leaving. Oh, so you're signing a contract extension then, right? No, you're not. Then why are you going onto Twitter and posting the Wolf of Wall Street meme? And then the next day partnering with Kalshi. Congratulations, Giannis, on winning the first annual Giannis Award. I look forward to endless offseason speculation around you. And I cannot wait until I finally get the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade notification and we can all move on with our lives. Okay? Please, I'm ready for the Bucks to be out of my life. And God bless them. I feel badly for the people of Milwaukee. the people of Wisconsin. Seems like a great place, but I'm ready for them to be out of my life for a multitude of different reasons. I'm ready for Giannis to be out of my life. I'm ready for Doc Lynn Rivers to be out of my life. I'm ready for it. Bye-bye. Is Giannis Award the Sketchy Activities Award? It could be. Giannis drama or Jonathan Kuminga drama? Well, the Giannis drama is better because at the very least, a superstar is getting traded. So that's where things get excited. Kuminga was a candidate here. Kuminga's like, oh, here's this trash player who's bad. And we're going to have endless trade speculation for 4 years about him. And keep in mind, guys, he's bad. He's literally bad at the sport. Okay? He's literally not good. But we're still going to talk about him every day. No, I'm good. Thank you. Thank you, though. All right, let's get into it. Let's close out with some of the more interesting ones. Roadie. That's what me and the boys are calling it. This year's Roadie race is incredible. What an incredible rookie class. You know, the all-rookie teams, which we're about to do as well. Difficult. So difficult to try and pinpoint who belongs where on that list. Again, some strong candidates for Rookie of the Year. I feel like the top three is pretty solid. Definitely an argument for a guy like Dylan Harper to receive some votes. Can we pop up the Rookie of the Year? There we go. VJ at number 3. That feels locked. Con at number 2, which does mean at number 1, winning Roadie, which again is what me and the boys are calling it. Cooper Flagg. He's playing basketball in Dallas. Yeah, it's Cooper Flagg. He has the most hype and aura. You know, it is a hype and aura award. I broke this down on this channel before. This award has never been an award that's been decided by advanced stats. It's just not the case, right? It's so difficult to compare rookies because you're comparing completely different things. It's different when you're comparing, you know, it is hard comparing like a perimeter-oriented defensive player versus a rim protector, but still you're comparing their defenses one of one. Who's the best defender in the league? That's what we're deciding when we're deciding Defensive Player of the Year. MVP. We're talking about, you know, the best players on the best teams. Kind of straightforward. Rookie of the Year, we're talking, you have guys who are going into shitty situations and who are asked to have the ball all the time. You're talking guys who are going into great situations and are role players. It's very difficult to compare these guys, right? Exactly like that. That's why this award has always been the Hype and Aura Award. And Cooper Flagg is the highest highs out of any rookie this year. I just think what he's done with what he came into, his situation, has been the most impressive over very long stretches, right? I think that's some of, like, very long stretches of the season. It's been a talking point now that it's not a 2-game award. Yeah, no shit, it's not. No shit, it isn't. In the 30 games before Cooper Flagg got injured, when he was averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, the Mavs were 5 points better when he was on the floor. What was the conversation then? The conversation was he was an overwhelming, massive, gigantic favorite to win the award, and he was going to cakewalk to the award. That's what it was, right? Then he gets hurt. So I've seen people say it's not a 1-month award. Okay, well, Cooper Flagg gets hurt for a month, comes back and is a little bit rusty, and then he loses the award. So what is it? Is it a 1-month award? I just don't. I don't know. Some of the takes, like, this is why I don't do the comparison stuff. I'll just lay out my take for Cooper Flagg being a all-time turnover suppressant offensive rookie engine. No rookie in the history of the NBA has had the on-ball usage Coop has, the playmaking, the assist numbers that Coop has, and the lack of turnovers that Coop has. Literally no other rookie in the history of the league. By far his most impressive attribute. And it kind of doesn't get appreciated enough because his assist numbers don't jump out at you. He is second amongst all rookies in assists behind his teammate, Nimby. But he just doesn't turn the ball over at all. His playmaking has gone so underappreciated in all of this, right? It just has. It really has. The ability to get downhill, the ability to have these gigantic scoring games. This is not at all the year I thought Coop would have offensively. I thought it would be a little bit more maybe less like high-end games and more so just like, yeah, he goes out 18, 19, 20 points. 18, 19, 20 points per game. Not a lot of shot attempts, pretty good efficiency. That's what I thought we'd be getting. Like the highs would be like 20 points. The fact that we're getting 50 bombs from Coop at this point is crazy to me. I don't know what that means for a ceiling. I really don't. And also, among guys, I mentioned this on Locked On last night. Full season stat right here. 100-plus players in the league who have had an on-ball usage of 25% or higher. So, I think you're kind of offensive engines or guys who are helping get the offense going. Only him and Derek White are the two who average a steal and block per game. I know his defense hasn't been necessarily as good as maybe we thought, but the defensive playmaking has been there. And you see the bones of a very good defensive player. So, for me, it's Coop. He has the highest highs, the worst context out of any of these guys by a lot. And again, you're comparing a guy who's come in and was asked to be the number one option on a horrible garbage team versus an easier role. I'll just leave it at that. An easier role. And it's that's what these guys went into, but that's just how the award has been. Right? How the award has always been given out. MVP, yeah, I mean, this one shouldn't be much of a surprise, right? It is a great MVP grouping, though. Like, this is a fantastic grouping. It wouldn't be much of a surprise either that my MVP group, you get 5 votes for MVP. These guys will also be in the All-NBA first team. I am putting Luka on here, right? I'm just going to assume Luka qualifies. And what am I going to do? Not put Luka on here if you play 63 games, 64 games? That's egregious. Right? I'm going to tell Adam Silver this. I'm going to say, I'm voting for Luka. And he's going to say, you can't. He played in 64 games. I'm going to say, I'm voting for him. And then he's going to say, no. And I'm going to say, I'm voting for him or you're going to have to come kill me. And then he's going to say, no, we'll just take your ballot away. And I'm like, oh, you guys can do that? I thought this was going to be some type of revolutionary stand. And he's like, no, we're just going to take your ballot away. And we're going to give it to Dan Orlovsky. And I'll say, what the hell? Dan Orlovsky doesn't even watch basketball. And he'll be like, I don't know. I don't care. I really don't care. He's on ESPN. Anyways, here's my top 5. I have Kawhi at 5. He's had an unbelievable season. I mean, it's just insane how good he is. And it's hilarious to hear him talk about this season because he's just like, yeah, we just decided I'll score more. It's like, all right, cool, fine. I do have Luka at 4. Now, 4, 3, 2, to me, I'm not going to sit here and argue the order. I wonder, sitting down and looking at it, if Luka didn't get hurt, finished out the season, the Lakers as the 3 seed, I do feel like Luka probably would have finished second for me, personally. But because he missed, and again, I don't even know if he's going to qualify for this. It'll be interesting. Who do you put in if he doesn't qualify? Probably Donovan Mitchell would have been mine. Yeah, I think he'd probably be number 3. I do have Jokic at 3, and I thought long and hard about putting Jokic at 2, but ultimately I just feel like Wemby, the minutes aren't there, obviously. The minute per game isn't there, like, compared to his other MVP candidates. And if in my opinion, Shai's case wasn't as strong as it is, and I really had to think about Wemby, I ultimately think the under 30 minutes a game would probably have ended up costing him. However, in those limited minutes, I feel like Wemby's ceiling as just an impactful basketball player is the highest, if that makes sense, out of any of these guys. Right? Which obviously my MVP is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That shouldn't be much of a surprise. Mid-60s in wins. They're going to be 65-plus wins again. I do feel like that's a sick pick, huh? Somebody print that out and put it on their wall, huh? Maybe I'll do it. Right? Maybe that would be me. I do think it really gets overlooked how much Shai carries a load offensively for this Thunder team. With all the injuries they've had all year, J-Dub hasn't been the best when he has played. Now, obviously, they're an incredible defensive team. And yeah, Shea's like the 6th or 7th best defender on their team. That I mean, like, for sure. There's no even debating that. But offensively, I mean, 66% true shooting, 65%. I mean, dude, it's insane. The efficiency that we're at now with Shea is historic. It's incredible. You know, the consistency he has he's the most consistent player in the NBA. Maybe his ceiling and his like highs aren't as high as a Jokic, a Luka, a Wemby, but Shea's game-to-game consistency, and I've said this before and you guys have laughed at me, but I do think it's true. I think the Thunder feed off of that. When you know what your superstar is bringing to the table every single night, no questions asked. No questions asked. I think that has a profound effect on the rest of your team. So he's the winner of MVP for me. I don't... maybe it's a little bit close. I think it's probably closer to being unanimous personally than it is close to somebody else winning the award. So he's not even playing to the full potential and doing all this damage with a younger team, and he's not the MVP. I mean, how do you 29 minutes per game? It's difficult to get there. When other guys have also had massive impacts, right? Him and Shea's net rating when they're on the floor is similar. They both have ginormous on-off swings, him and all of these guys. The lack of minutes compared to the other guys at some point has to come up in the conversation. And this is coming from someone who loves Wemby and is all in on Wemby, like being here now. Like this being Wemby. But yeah, I mean, and Shea's been far and away the most clutch player in the league this season. He's just... he's a beast, man. He's so good. I know everyone hates him, but that's just the way it is, right? And I think that's okay. I think villains are good. They are good for the sport. Let's get into, again, I mentioned this was the most difficult one for me. The all rookie teams. First team, not difficult really. Second team is where I had a difficult time. We have Coop, Con, VJ, Dylan Harper, and Cedric Coward. So 4 of the first 5 picks in the draft here in the first team. I don't know. I didn't have much of a difficult time with that one, really. The second team is where I did have some difficulty. Second team is where I had some difficulty. And quick shout outs to, we talked about all these guys. VJ's just been an uber impactful player right away. And Cedric Coward, the Grizzlies have been so hurt, but Cedric Coward is somebody who's had a very impressive rookie season. Second team is where I had some problems because I just had to be honest with myself about some of these guys. I don't think DQ and Fears are good. Just being honest with you. Now, Fears was the most difficult cut only because, again, if I'm factoring in hype and aura, which you have to with rookies, it's just the reality. Fears is probably second of the whole rookie class, right? But man, I've watched a lot of Pelicans games this year, weirdly enough. Not too recently. But God, Queen and Fears leave a lot to be desired for me. They really do. They scare me greatly moving forward. The bottom row here is just defense guys, right? Kalkbrenner has been one of the most impactful defensive guys, really like bench defensive guys in the league. Dylan Cardwell, I think, has an argument for like the best rookie defender in the NBA. He's up there. Colin Murray Boyles. 3 very great defensive rookies that I think deserve a shout. And I've been monitoring the Kasparas Jakučionis situation. He didn't play much at all to start the season. And he's just kind of quietly crept up. It's hilarious because he was our guy when we were joking around like, oh, Kasparas Jakučionis is going to be a Mav, right? Like he was the guy that we constantly said. He's quietly just became a like legitimately impactful role guy for the Heat. Not big minutes or anything like that, but defends surprisingly well, shoots threes, play makes. He's quietly like put together a pretty impressive rookie season. And I know Fears just had 40. Like I said, he was the most difficult cut. If you want to replace Reynaud, who I don't really like, but he's here. If you want to place Reynaud with Fears, that's fine. Maxime Reynaud on the Kings, it's an archetype of player I'm not entirely here for. but he has had a solid, he has had a solid rookie season. Would you trade the 20th pick in the draft for Queen? Do you think Derek Queen is ever going to be good enough offensively to outweigh the fact that he is truthfully one of the most dreadful defensive players that you will see? That's where I get. It's an archetype thing. It's an archetype thing. I don't know.
The team matters for that too, right?
Yeah, team matters. I want to love Queen way more than I ended up loving him. Because he did stuff early season where it was like, whoa. But then it just kind of, womp, womp, womp. All defense kind of difficult too. The second team at least. First team, I had zero problems with. This felt like clear cut. I'd actually have to hear some arguments for any different grouping here. Asar Thompson, Derek White, Rudy Gobert, Chet Holmgren, and Victor Wembanyama. Asar, I think you're getting the most premier perimeter defender in the league. And Asar Thompson, Derek White as a guard is just kind of a one-of-one historic defender with how he can protect the rim and guard up. Just an incredibly special defensive player. And then the three guys on the bottom, your three most impactful defensive bigs in the NBA. I'd have to really listen to some arguments for some of these guys not being on the first team. Second team is where it does get a little bit interesting because I don't know. This one's hard because there's a lot of different guys. There's some difficult cuts here. I know there's going to be one placement here that's going to rile some people up, I think, but I just can't quit him as a super impactful defender. But my second team, Bam Adebayo, OG Anunoby, Cason Wallace, Scotty Barnes, and goddamn it, man, I still think Draymond's a top 10 defensive player in the league. Offensively, he has just become so horribly bad that it's laughable, but I still think he's a top 10 defensive player. Now, there's Amen Thompson is a difficult cut, but I don't know. Something's just lacking there. There are still people lagging behind this. Asar Thompson has just been much better defensively than his brother this year. Much, much better. Scotty's had an unbelievable defensive season for sure. He has a first-team case. For a lot of these guys do. Yeah, Dwight Powell's a difficult cut, obviously, as always. If there was a defensive third team, Dyson Daniels was a difficult cut as well. I think you guys can maybe notice this. I do value the anchor-type defenders just a tiny bit more, right? OG's had such an underappreciated defensive season for the Knicks. I wonder if he's going to get an all-defensive team. I haven't looked into who's going to win these or not. Bam kind of underappreciated too because I think we're just kind of used to it at this point. Cason Wallace has been unbelievable. A lot of great candidates and a lot of difficult omissions here, but I felt pretty good about this one, to be honest with you. Next year, Lively and Coop on there. Well, hopefully Lively for sure. And then All-NBA. First team is super easy. It's just the 5 finalists for MVP. Again, Luka might not qualify for this, which would just be unreal. But if Luka weren't to qualify, I wonder who I prop up from the second team. But yeah, again, the first team All-NBA to me feels pretty clear-cut. These have been the 5 best players in the NBA this season. Now, second team, again, Adam Silver. You're going to have to kill me. You're going to have to kill me. I put Anthony Edwards on my second team just because it's like, and Cade. Cade is going to qualify, right? Because he came back last night. I did put Anthony Edwards on my second team because it's like, really, man? Anthony Edwards isn't going to make an All-NBA team? Seriously? That's what we're doing? But my second team, Donovan Mitchell, really great season. I hope he has a good postseason. I hope the Cavs do because I think Donovan Mitchell deserves a little bit more love just in the grand scheme of things. Cade, who, if it weren't for the late injury, would have like a first-team push. Anthony Edwards, who we talked about already. I ended up putting Jamal Murray on my second team. Kind of difficult. There's like a group of guys who I think have arguments for this. But I ended up going Chet and Jamal. Jamal's just been unbelievable this year, man. He's been so incredibly good that, has he been? Obviously, you're talking guys who are injured and aren't qualifying. But has he been like a top 10 player in the league? I think he definitely has an argument for that. And Chet, when you combine the incredible defensive impact he has with still being a positive offensive player, even though, it's not like he can carry an offense or anything like that. And I would even say a bit of an underwhelming offensive player at times. But the fact that, you look at some of the other big defense guys like who shared a first team with him, and you look at a guy like Gobert, who's just not a good offensive player at all. And that's why I think Chet's overall value propels him into a second team stretch. And yeah, Jamal Murray, carrying the load when Jokic was out. Absolutely. So Jamal Murray's just been unbelievable. Shout out to him. And then finally, our third team. I had to do it, man. It's my guy. I've always loved him and defended him. I do think LaMelo Ball has been a top 15 player in the NBA this season. Again, when you factor in the guys who will not be qualifying for this, I think LaMelo has to make an all-NBA team. I really do. KD, despite the Rockets' struggles and their disappointment, he's still been a very good NBA player this year. Maxi's been very good. Jaylen Brown, who I'll debate about, right? I still think he deserves to be an all-NBA player, even though I don't think he's in the conversation some people have him in. And then our boy Jalen Brunson. Kind of a weird year for him. A little spooky in some ways because there's some parts of his game that are declining that's a little scary. But still, I think he's an all-NBA level player. Now, the interesting question, Anthony Edwards obviously will not qualify for this. So that's going to open up a spot. Who is somebody who missed out on this that deserves the nomination? A couple of names that pop into my mind. Scotty Barnes, absolutely, is somebody who will be in this conversation. Jalen Johnson is somebody who will be in this conversation. Denny Avdia. Personally, I don't think Jalen Johnson and Denny Avdia are top 15 guys in the NBA this year. Anthony Davis just missed out on the mark. Just missed out. Coop, just missed out. I personally think if I had a vote, and again, Anthony Edwards is not going to qualify, so you're going to have to vote somebody else. I do think I'd put Derek White in here, honestly. I think we'd go D. White. Kind of similar to what I said about Chet in slide 2. The ginormous defensive impact mixed with being a positive offensive player. I think I would end up putting Derek White in there. I think Derek White is a little bit more than a role player. So anyways, yeah. Castle did not make anything I have here. The weird thing about Castle for me, great player. I respect his game a lot. Plays hard. Would love to have him on my team. I'm not sure how much of what Castle does is Wemby. Truthfully, that's not fair to him, really. But like some of the defensive stuff, I just couldn't really get there with him being on one of the two All-NBA all defensive teams. I just couldn't. D-Book was a tough cut. I think he's going to just barely qualify, right? I looked at D-Book. Castle, I didn't think he was better than the 10 defensive players I had on there, personally. But yeah, it's tough. I had to go with LaMelo. I think he's had an unbelievable season. The Hornets have been fantastic. He is their engine, 100%. I'm hopeful that they legitimately make some run. I make a run. I don't know. I don't think I would pick them to beat any of the top 2 seeds in the East. I don't even really know if I think that series would be competitive, but I hope it is, and I hope LaMelo is just like, oh yeah, that's right. Derek White was my toughest cut. I fully intended on putting him in my All-NBA third team. And since I did put Anthony Edwards just because I'm like, seriously? I think I would put Derek White on third team. And then who would we move up from second team? Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown goes to second team from the third team? or KD. You had White top 10 less than a month ago. Did I? Did I do a top 10? I'm way behind, but Wemby got the fake as MVP case. People really bid on his pleading for it. No, he really doesn't, because when Wemby's on the floor, the Spurs are a historically dominant team, and he is the reason for that. J-Dub, when he made All-NBA third team, 21-7-4, 2.7 stocks. Flag this year, 21-6-4, 2.1 stocks, All-NBA. Well, there's efficiency that goes into that too. You have to factor in efficiency, and you also have to factor in, like, I'm looking. I don't think a single All-NBA player on here is outside of the play-in race. Like, that's just a very rare. If you're a bottom 5 seed, so it's kind of rare that they gave Luka first-team All-NBA the year the Mavs just completely missed the play-in tournament.
It's almost like it's related, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is almost like it's related. Well, all right, that actually didn't go as long as I thought it would. We kind of breezed through that, so that's good. That's nice. I'm happy. I thought this was going to be like a 3-hour stream. Yep, Luka made first-team All-NBA second year. I thought it was going to be a 3-hour stream. Next week, we've got playoff previews. Again, my goal is to sit down and talk to some of these guys and get their opinions. Or maybe I'll just have them send me a video. That feels really easy.
Step into the slight tank.
Just send me a 3-minute pitch on your team in the slightly Shark Tanks. The Sharks will determine whether or not we believe in your team. Let's go, man. We are nearly a week away from the playoffs. I'm so hyped. Thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't liked the stream yet, again, make sure you do so. And I'll see you guys soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.
Who's it gonna be? This is it! One more! Oh my God! My brain's gonna explode. My brain's gonna explode. There's something sinister afoot, absolutely.
Security at the Haymaker Network is provided by Smith Thompson. Secure your home now at smiththompson.com.